The will was only 3 pages long. By the time the lawyer finished reading it, my brother owned the house, the investments, and the majority of our mother's estate. I got her wedding ring and a handwritten note that didn't sound like her. Everyone in the room kept saying, "This is what she wanted." But I knew something they didn't. 2 months before she died, Mom had sat at my kitchen table and told me, "I made sure it's fair this time." Fair. There was nothing fair about this. If you think blood protects you from betrayal, it doesn't. Stay with me, because confronting my brother didn't just risk losing the inheritance. It risked losing the only family I had left. The lawyer's office smelled like lemon polish and old carpet. Too clean for grief. Michael sat across from me, back straight, hands folded like he'd practiced for this. His black suit fit perfectly. Mine didn't. I grabbed the first jacket I could find after barely sleeping. Claire squeezed my knee under the table. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. As outlined in the final revision dated March 12th. Mom died April 28th. I did the math automatically. The lawyer continued reading. The primary residence, including all contents therein, shall be transferred to my eldest son, Michael Hayes. Michael didn't move, didn't blink. The investment accounts and savings bonds, Michael. The lake property proceeds, Michael. My ears began ringing. And to my youngest son, Daniel Hayes. Finally, I leave my wedding band and a personal letter enclosed. That was it. No shared equity, no equal division, no contingency. Just sentimental leftovers. The lawyer slid an envelope across the desk toward me. I didn't touch it. "That can't be right," I said quietly. Michael finally looked at me. "It's right," he said. Calm, level, almost gentle. "She wouldn't do that." He tilted his head slightly. "You weren't there at the end." The room shifted. I turned to the lawyer. "When was this signed?" "March 12th. Witnessed and notarized." "Who arranged it?" A pause. "Your brother contacted my office to schedule the appointment." "Of course he did." Michael clasped his hands tighter. "Mom wanted to simplify things," he said. "I handled the logistics." Simplify. That word felt rehearsed. "She told me it was fair," I said. Michael's jaw flexed. Fair doesn't always mean equal. There it was. Not defensive. Corrective. Like he was explaining something to a child. Claire's grip tightened on my knee. The lawyer cleared his throat. "If there are concerns, we can schedule a follow-up discussion." Concerns. I stared at my brother. "I want to see the previous version," I said. Michael's eyes hardened. "Just for a second." "There wasn't one," he replied. And in that moment, grief shifted into something else. Not rage, recognition, because I had seen that look before. The same one he wore when we were kids, and something went missing from my room. Calm, certain, already decided. I didn't open the envelope until we were in the car. Claire waited until we pulled out of the parking lot before speaking. "Something's off," she said quietly. "I know." My hands were still tight on the steering wheel. "Your mom told you it was fair," she continued. "She wouldn't say that if she meant you get a ring and he gets everything. I know. But knowing and proving are different things." At a red light, I finally opened the envelope. Inside was her wedding band. Thin gold, worn smooth from 40 years of marriage. And a letter. "Daniel, you've always been stronger than you know. Michael has carried more responsibility, and I trust you'll understand why I've arranged things this way. I love you both equally. Equally." The words sat there like a lie in polite handwriting. Claire read over my shoulder. "She never wrote like that," she said. I nodded slowly. Mom didn't write imbalanced corporate sentences. She wrote messy, emotional, too many exclamation marks. She underlined words when she got sentimental. This was neat, measured, controlled. She always worried about you feeling second, Claire said. She talked to me about it. That hit deeper than the will, because it meant Mom knew. She knew the dynamic. Michael was the responsible one, the one who handled paperwork, the one who stepped up. I was the one who moved out early, started a business, missed Sunday dinners when jobs ran late. Responsible versus independent, reliable versus unpredictable. The light turned green. I want to see the notarized copy, I said. You think he pressured her? I hesitated. I think he arranged everything. And I think Mom trusted him too much. We pulled into our driveway. Before I turned off the engine, my phone buzzed. Michael. I stared at it. Claire looked at me. You don't have to answer. I did. What? I said. His voice was steady. We should talk. We just did. No, he replied calmly. Without lawyers. There was something under his tone now. Not guilt. Control. About what? I asked. About why you're already questioning Mom's decisions. There it was. He'd anticipated it. I looked at the wedding band in my palm. I'm not questioning Mom, I said quietly. I'm questioning you. Silence. Then, be careful, Daniel. Not angry, not loud, just careful. Asking the wrong questions can tear a family apart. The line went dead. Claire's eyes were wide. What did he say? I stared at the dark screen. He's not worried about the money, I said slowly. He's worried about what I might find. And for the first time since the reading, the inheritance felt secondary. This wasn't about assets. It was about who had been rewriting the story of our family and for how long. I went to Mom's house the next morning. Technically, it was Michael's house now, but it still smelled like her, lavender and old books. Michael was already there, standing in the kitchen going through paperwork like a man who had been waiting for this moment his entire life. You didn't call, he said without looking up. I didn't think I needed permission. His mouth twitched slightly, not quite a smile. You're not here to pick up furniture, are you? No. He set the folder down slowly. Then what? I want to see the prior drafts of the will. There weren't any. I want to see her financial records from the last year. Why? Because 2 months ago she told me she made it fair. He leaned back against the counter. And you think that means equal? I think it means not this. His eyes sharpened. You know who drove her to appointments? Who handled the hospital bills? Who paid for in-home care when insurance fell short? I held his stare. You volunteered. No, he corrected. I showed up. There it was again, the comparison. You were busy building your company, he continued. Busy being independent. You never asked for help. You never offered. The words landed like they'd been stored for years. I stepped closer. Don't rewrite this, I said quietly. I came every weekend. You came when it was convenient. The accusation wasn't loud. It was surgical. I swallowed it. This isn't about who visited more, I said. It's about a legal document signed 6 weeks before she died, while she was on heavy medication. Michael's expression didn't change. The doctor cleared her competency. Which doctor? The one she's had for 15 years. Who made the appointment with the liar? Silence. You did, I answered for him. Because she asked me to. Did she? His jaw tightened. You're implying something dangerous. I'm asking simple questions. No, he said calmly. You're accusing me of manipulating a dying woman. I didn't flinch. I'm accusing you of arranging something she didn't fully understand. He stepped forward now. close enough that I could see the strain behind his composure. "You always needed proof that you mattered," he said quietly. "Now you're trying to get it from a will." That hit harder than the money ever could, because part of me had always wondered if that was true. But doubt doesn't erase evidence. "I'm going to have the document reviewed," I said. Michael's face went completely still. "If you contest this," he replied softly, "you're telling everyone you think Mom was weak." "That's not what I'm saying. That's how it will look." There it was, not a denial, a warning about perception. He wasn't defending the will. He was defending the narrative. And the more calm he stayed, the more I understood something that made my chest tighten. Michael wasn't improvising. He had already calculated the cost of my suspicion, and he was prepared to make me pay it. The lawyer I met with didn't know my brother. That was intentional. I didn't want someone who'd gone to school with him, or golfed with him, or owed him a favor. Michael was a financial advisor in a small town. People trusted him by default. The attorney's office was plain. No family photos. No friendly small talk. "Contesting a will is expensive," she said immediately. "Emotionally and financially. I'm aware." "Do you believe your mother lacked capacity?" "I believe she was medicated heavily. And I believe the distribution contradicts prior verbal intent." She studied me for a moment. "Verbal intent doesn't hold weight." "What does?" "Proof of undue influence or procedural irregularity." Undue influence. The phrase felt clinical, almost detached. "What qualifies?" I asked. She leaned back. "If one beneficiary orchestrated access to the attorney, if that beneficiary isolated the testator, if financial pressure or dependency existed." Dependency. Mom had depended on Michael the last year. He managed her accounts, paid the bills, scheduled the appointments. The lawyer slid the copy of the will back toward me. "March 12th, she said. Where was she living at that time? At home? With assistance? Yes. And who controlled transportation? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The lawyer nodded slightly. You'll need medical records, notarization logs, witness statements. Witnesses, I asked. Yes. Who was present when she signed? 2 firm employees, I said. And your brother. She folded her hands. You're not just challenging a document, she said. You're challenging your brother's integrity. I let out a slow breath. That's already happened. On the drive home, I called my aunt, Mom's sister. She answered on the second ring. Daniel, honey, I was meaning to call. Did Mom ever mention changing the will? I asked directly. There was a pause. She said Michael was helping her simplify things. Simplify how? I don't know, she said carefully, but she seemed tired. Tired how? Resigned, she admitted. Like she didn't want to argue. Argue? With who? After I hung up, I sat in my driveway for several minutes without moving. This wasn't just legal anymore. This was psychological. If Mom had been too tired to argue, then someone had been pushing. And I knew my brother well enough to understand something unsettling. Michael never raised his voice. He didn't need to. He wore you down until agreeing felt easier than resisting. The will might have been signed on March 12th. But whatever shaped, it started long before that. And I was only just beginning to see the pattern. Word travels fast in families. By Sunday, my aunt had already mentioned my questions to 2 cousins. By Monday, I received 3 separate calls that all started the same way. Daniel, don't do this. I agreed to meet Michael at Mom's house that evening. No lawyers, no spouses, just us. He was in the living room when I arrived, going through photo albums like a man revisiting a victory. You're making this messy, he said without looking up. I haven't filed anything. Yet, I stepped inside. Why didn't you tell me she changed it? I asked. She didn't owe you advance notice. You knew what she told me. Michael finally looked up. What exactly did she tell you? That it was fair. He closed the album slowly. Fair doesn't mean identical. I didn't say identical. You implied it. He stood now, moving toward the fireplace. You always thought love meant equal distribution, he said. Mom didn't. Mom didn't rank us. She did, he said calmly. You just didn't want to see it. That landed in a place I didn't expect. When Dad died, he continued, who handled the estate paperwork? Who sat with her during chemo? Who rearranged his schedule? You're rewriting this, I said. No, he replied softly. I'm reminding you. His calmness was infuriating. I was building my business, I said, so I could provide for my family. And I was providing for her. We stood there, years of unspoken resentment hanging between us. You think this is about money, he said. It's about acknowledgement. My chest tightened. Acknowledgement of what? That I carried weight you never did. And you think that gives you the right to decide what I deserve? His jaw flexed. I didn't decide. She did, while on medication. She was competent. You arranged the lawyer because she asked. Were you in the room when she signed? Yes. Did you ever leave? Silence. That silence told me more than any admission would have. You didn't give her space to think without you there, I said quietly. His composure slipped for the first time. You think I forced her? I think you influenced her. He stepped closer. Be very careful, he said. You already told me that. You can test this. You divide the family permanently. I'm not the one who divided it. Yes, you are, he snapped. Finally. Because you can't stand the idea that I mattered more. The room went still. He hadn't meant to say it that way, but he had. And suddenly, the will wasn't just about assets. It was about something we both felt since childhood and never admitted. Who mattered more? And whether Mom had ever meant to answer that question at all. Grief turns into paperwork faster than you expect. Within a week, I had copies of Mom's medical chart from late February through March. Sedatives, pain management, notes about cognitive fluctuation, alert but fatigued, occasional confusion in the evening hours. The will had been signed at 6:30 p.m. Evening hours. I also requested the notary log from the law office. The appointment had been booked by Michael, confirmed by Michael. Transportation listed under family escort. No independent advisor present. No separate consultation without beneficiary. The lawyer I hired reviewed everything quietly. Undue influence cases are rarely dramatic, she said. They're cumulative, meaning? Meaning it's about pattern, not proof of force. Pattern. Mom depended on Michael for bills. Mom isolated from extended family during treatment. Mom too exhausted to argue, and Michael always calm. Always helping. I called the hospice nurse who had visited Mom twice a week in March. At first, she declined to comment. Then, carefully, she said, "Your mother was worried about keeping peace." With who? She didn't answer directly. She didn't like conflict, the nurse continued. She avoided it when she could. Did she ever mention changing the will? Another pause. She mentioned feeling pressure to simplify things so no one would argue after she passed. Pressure? From my brother? I can't speculate, the nurse said gently. But she didn't deny it. That night, I sat at the kitchen table staring at the wedding band. Claire placed a cup of coffee in front of me. You're not crazy, she said. I don't want to destroy what's left of this family. You're not destroying it, she replied. You're exposing what was already cracked. I leaned back. If I file, it becomes public record. Yes. Cousins take sides. holidays disappear. Yes. And if I don't? She held my gaze. Then you live knowing he rewrote your mother's final act. That was the line that stayed with me. Rewrote. Because this wasn't just a financial discrepancy. It was narrative control. Michael wasn't just inheriting property. He was inheriting the story of who our mother trusted most. And unless I challenged it, that version would become permanent. The next morning, I signed the petition to contest. Not because of the house, not because of the investments, but because I refused to let the last chapter of my mother's life be shaped by someone else's quiet influence. When Michael was served the notice, he called within the hour. "You just declared war," he said. "No," I replied evenly. "I asked for the truth." And for the first time, he didn't sound calm. He sounded afraid. The petition didn't just reach Michael. It reached everyone. By Thursday, my cousin Mark sent a text. "Man, this isn't what Aunt Eleanor would have wanted." By Friday, my aunt called again, voice tighter this time. "Daniel, honey, lawyers will eat up whatever you think you're protecting." "I'm not protecting money," I said. "Then what are you protecting?" I hesitated. "My mother's voice." Silence. "Michael says you're accusing him of coercion. I'm asking whether she had independent counsel." "Which sounds the same," she replied. That was the problem. In family court and in family conversations, nuance dies quickly. Michael didn't yell publicly. He framed. At Sunday dinner, which I wasn't invited to but heard about anyway, he said things like, "Daniel's grieving in his own way. I understand he feels left out. I wish he trusted Mom's decision." Trust. The words spread like glue. By the time I ran into Mark at the grocery store, the narrative had already settled. "You always felt second, though," he said awkwardly. "Maybe you're projecting." Projecting. It was almost impressive how smoothly Michael repositioned the story. Not manipulation, misinterpretation, not coercion. Grief. When I got home, Claire handed me her phone. It was a message from Michael. "You can still withdraw the petition. We settle privately. You take a cash equivalent, and we move on." Move on. "How much?" Claire asked. I looked at the number. It was generous, more than fair, which meant he was worried. "He thinks this is about payout," I said. "Is it?" "No." Claire studied me carefully. "Be honest," I exhaled slowly. "Part of me wants him to admit it." "Admit what?" "That he influenced her." "And if he never does?" That question settled heavy. Because I knew my brother. He would lose assets before he lost control of the story. "I don't need a confession," I said quietly. "I need the record corrected." Claire nodded. "Then prepare yourself." "For what?" "For the possibility that the court may prove influence. And you'll still lose your brother." That was the first time the cost felt real. Not financial, relational. Because once depositions began, childhood would be subpoenaed. Old comparisons would be dissected. And whatever illusion of unity we'd maintained for decades would be stripped down to fact patterns and testimony. The hearing date was set for 6 weeks out. And for the first time, I understood something unsettling. This wasn't just about what Mom signed. It was about what we had never resolved. And courtrooms don't just examine documents. They expose motives. And mine, no matter how justified, would be questioned too. The courtroom wasn't dramatic. No shouting. No slamming gavels. Just fluorescent lighting and a judge who had seen too many families fracture over paper. Michael sat at the opposite table, composed as ever. Navy suit, hands folded. The picture of reasonable grief. I wondered how many people in the room believed him already. The first witness was the attorney who drafted the will. Did Mrs. Hayes appear competent? my lawyer asked. Yes. Did she meet with you privately before signing? A pause. No. Her son was present during the consultation. Was that her request? She did not object. Not objection. Not independence either. The hospice nurse testified next. Did Mrs. Hayes express distress regarding conflict between her sons? Yes. Did she indicate pressure? She said she wanted to avoid upsetting Michael. The courtroom shifted subtly. Michael's jaw tightened, just slightly. Then it was his turn. He took the stand calmly. Did you coerce your mother? His attorney asked. Absolutely not. Did she express gratitude for your assistance? Yes. Did she state her desire to compensate you for your increased involvement? Yes. My lawyer stepped forward. Mr. Hayes, did you ever leave the room during the consultation to allow your mother independent discussion? No. Why not? She didn't ask me to. Did you suggest she meet alone with counsel? No. Did you inform your brother prior to the change? No. Why? It was her decision. My lawyer paused. Are you aware that your mother was prescribed sedatives that evening? She was medicated for months. Did you discuss the distribution ratios with her beforehand? Yes. How often? Silence. A few times. How many? Several. In private? Yes. The judge leaned slightly forward. Did you ever communicate that Daniel might contest the will if it were not equal? Michael hesitated. I may have mentioned that he tends to be sensitive about these things. There it was. Not force. Influence. Did you frame equality as potential conflict? My lawyer pressed. I explained possible consequences. Consequences. The word felt rehearsed. When I was called to testify, I kept my voice steady. Did your mother ever tell you she intended to significantly favor your brother? My lawyer asked. No. Did she express desire for fairness? Yes. Do you believe she fully understood the implications of the final document? I looked at Michael, then at the judge. I believe she trusted my brother more than she should have. The courtroom went quiet, not explosive, just heavy, because that was the truth beneath everything. Trust, not force, not theft. Trust misplaced. And sometimes that's harder to prove and harder to forgive. The judge announced the ruling would be issued in 2 weeks. As we left the courtroom, Michael finally spoke. You've embarrassed her memory, he said. I stopped walking. No, I replied quietly. I protected it. For the first time, he didn't have a counter. Just a look I hadn't seen before. Uncertainty. The envelope arrived on a Wednesday morning. Not thick. Not dramatic. Just a formal court seal and a decision that would either fracture us completely or force something closer to the surface. I opened it at the kitchen table. Claire stood behind me, hands resting on my shoulders. The judge ruled that the will was legally valid, but the court found evidence of undue influence through sustained dependency and lack of independent counsel. The remedy wasn't full invalidation. It ordered redistribution to reflect equitable intent. Not equal, equitable. The house would be sold. Assets divided more evenly. The judge's written opinion included one line that felt heavier than the financial outcome. While no coercion was proven, the beneficiary failed to ensure the testator's independent agency. Failed to ensure. Not criminal, not malicious, but responsible. I let out a slow breath I didn't realize I'd been holding for weeks. Claire squeezed my shoulders. You did it, she said. No, I replied quietly. We did. Because this wasn't victory. It was correction. An hour later, Michael called. His voice wasn't sharp this time. It was flat. You got what you wanted. I wanted fairness. You wanted validation. That word again. You influenced her, I said evenly. I supported her. You shaped the outcome. I protected it. Silence stretched between us. You could have asked me for help, I said. I didn't trust you to stay, he replied. That landed deeper than any courtroom exchange. You never gave me the chance, I said. I gave you years, he shot back. You just weren't there. And suddenly, the inheritance felt smaller than the history. You think this was about money? He continued. It was about acknowledgement. I know, I said. The line went quiet. And you still don't see, he added. See what? That she relied on me. I don't resent that, I said. Then why did you fight? Because reliance isn't ownership. Because trust doesn't equal authority. Because love shouldn't be negotiated through influence. I fought, I said slowly, because I refused to let you be the sole author of her final chapter. Silence again. Then, softly, you've divided this family. No, I replied. It was already divided. And for the first time in weeks, neither of us had another argument ready. Because the court had settled the assets. But it couldn't settle what we'd always competed for. And maybe never resolved. The house sold in late autumn. Watching strangers walk through our childhood home felt stranger than any courtroom hearing. They measured walls where we once marked our heights. They inspected cabinets that still smelled faintly like mom's cinnamon. Michael and I signed the closing documents in silence. No eye contact, no reconciliation speech, just signatures. When the check cleared, the numbers looked sterile, almost irrelevant. The redistribution had corrected the imbalance, but it hadn't repaired the fracture. At Thanksgiving, the extended family split dinner into 2 smaller gatherings. Scheduling conflict, they said. It wasn't. It was discomfort. Michael and I saw each other once more before Christmas. Not to argue, not to negotiate, to divide the remaining personal items. He handed me a box of old photo albums. I thought you'd want these, he said. No accusation, no edge, just tiredness. I never wanted to take everything, he added quietly. I know, I replied. You just don't understand what it was like being the one she leaned on. I met his eyes. And you don't understand what it was like always being measured against that. For the first time, there was no defense in his expression. Just recognition, not agreement. Recognition. We stood there in the empty living room. The walls bare now, echoes where furniture used to be. She loved you, he said. I know. She loved me too. I know. That had never been the question. The question was who felt it more. And maybe that was never something she intended us to compare. When I drove away from the house for the last time, I didn't feel triumph. I felt clarity. Blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. It guarantees history. And history is complicated. I didn't destroy my family. I exposed the fault line that was already there. The inheritance divided the assets. But what we were really fighting over had nothing to do with property. It was about who felt seen, and whether fairness meant equal or just acknowledged. Grief doesn't just test your heart, it tests your hierarchy. It reveals who feels owed, who feels overlooked, and who is willing to challenge the version of events everyone else prefers. If you discovered someone you trusted shaped the outcome in their favor, would you fight for correction? Or would you preserve peace at your own expense? Tell me what you would have done.